Pets.
It's your pet subjects.
You got a cat, haven't you?
We had a cat, but it was.
No, don't, no, not on
Don't
air.
be
You
morbid,
can't, yeah, you
please.
can't tell us anything sad.
I gave it to my mum.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say it got run over in the street or something.
My mum's husband died, so I said,
Okay.
look, you need a new.
You need a
fine.
companion.
Yeah.
All right.
So, campaign to give tenant more rights to have a pet. I mean, I'm actually quite.
I'm for it.
Yeah, I'm actually quite shocked that that landlord. I mean, and that a lot of this behaviour changed with the changes in the deposit and the tenant fee ban, where tenants who normally would pay an additional damages security deposit to have their loved pets, because the UK is a big pet.
Yes,
and I think it's wrong that if you're renting rather than owning, that you can't have a cat.
Yeah, because the extra payment was outlawed as a permitted fee by the Tenant
But
Fees
you
Act.
can demand that under the new proposals, a landlord can demand that the tenant takes out a specialist pet insurance for damage. But if I'm asking you ahead of my deposits, our stats are really, really low when it comes to pet damage as well.
Absolutely, pet damage was one of the minor dispute areas we had prior to the Fees Act a few years ago. Really, it wasn't a big one. I mean, of course, look, landlords have to be a bit sensible. You wouldn't have an Alsatian in a 15th floor flat. And the tenants are working all day.
Well, the lease wouldn't
Absolutely. The head leases of these developments would never allow it anyway, whatever the law changes.
What I'm trying to get at is this as big of a problem? Are landlords generally a lot more flexible and allow their...
Well, I asked that. I can answer that question because I asked that question
because it's in the white paper, and is this something they'll jettison because it's not a problem?
Sorry, Nigel, it's not a big major problem because I asked that question at the Landlord Investment Show to a packed crowd that were listening to me speak, and a lot of them put their hands up and said it wasn't really an issue. And actually, from speaking to a lot of landlords and speaking to tenants, I know that tenants stay longer in a property when they do have a pet, and they will pay more rent. Absolutely. You know, and you've got to look at it commercially. But obviously, as long as landlords are doing the inspection to see that there's no real build damage, I can't see it being. It's good also for tenants' mental health.
Yeah. But from a landlord's own readership, it's one of the most clicked on.
It is. So it's a Marmite issue.
Negative or positive? Are you getting?
So I think there is a minority of landlords. There's still a sizable minority. Probably 10-15% who get very, very angry and upset about the idea of the government forcing them to take pets. And they tend to click on our stories because of that. They also tend to go on the landlord's own forum and other forums and vent their anger on it. Yeah. And I quite understand that. But they are not the majority of landlords. Most landlords either don't care or say yes.
On that point, I think it's important because
stick my neck out there.
I think the records that we've ever had on our landlord forum, which is part of the landlord's own website, we've had something like 28,000 people on in one day, which is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And then of course we do the articles, and then there's a lot of landlords that do their comments. I think a lot of the time it's just therapy, isn't it? Where landlords just vent off, or not?
But yeah, that's what forums are for. It's for venting, and it's also for talking about things with fellow travellers in your sector. And sometimes it kicks off as arguments. But and the pets one tends to push that forward. What we were saying, I think earlier, that we wanted to talk about what would actually happen here. So I think the model agreement that the government brought out last year is as far as they'll go. I don't think we're going to go into the land of forcing landlords to take pets.
I think the hardest thing is the government came up with a model tenancy agreement. Yeah. If you think about how many tenancy agreements out there, there's thousands and thousands. To actually get someone to use the same tenancy agreement as a model, it would never work.
Back to enforcement.
Yeah.
How do you?
And there's a lovely lady called Jen Berizai who leads a campaign on this. We've been supporting her because I think she's got some valid points to make. And she went to go and see Eddie Hughes before his departure last year, and they had a great chat, and they both agreed that that where we were at the moment wasn't ideal, but it's probably the best, again, fudge that the British are going to come up with.
But I think also, and there is, and this shows how the referencing has evolved, that you can get referencing relating to your pet.
Yeah, can.
Is that correct?
Yes, you can, yeah. There's a company that does it now. And you can get a pass, which basically says this
pet's lovely.
This dog is lovely, and it doesn't smell any.
And I wonder if it equate to normal tenant referencing when there's fake tenant referencing. So they could say, we got a great pet, it was actually a chihuahua, but end up being a crocodile or something.
Or you could have one from landlords which said, it's a very well-behaved landlord.
Yeah, something like that.
Where will it end?